866-5555, Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Friday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us to close out the week here on Hacker After Dark. Of course, we are less than 24 hours away from the Final Four in San Antonio. They will tip it off tomorrow night, 6:09. 5:30 broadcast time on the Gator Radio Network. Of course, you'll hear it right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM for Florida and Auburn. After that game, Duke and Houston, and what I think has the potential to be an incredible night of college basketball in San Antonio, Texas. We're certainly going to spend a ton of time on that tonight. Guest lineup looks like this. If you missed our conversations earlier in the week with both Sean Kelly, the play-by-play voice of the Florida Gators, and Will Yeget, who was a great Gator basketball player back from 2011 to 2014, was on that Final Four Gator team in 2014. Will Yeget, in fact, still playing pro ball over in Europe. If you missed either one of those conversations, we will bring you Hacker After Dark replays coming up tonight. Will Yeget's going to join us right about 8:35, 8:40. And we will hear from Sean Kelly, the play-by-play voice of the Florida Gators, coming up at about 9:15 or so. Also, Neil Blackman of Saturday Down South will join us as well as we preview everything to do with the Final Four. We will also spend some time on the Jacksonville Jaguars. We will spend some time on some of the latest mock drafts. And I have a couple of thoughts about Travis Hunter. Colorado had their pro day earlier today. We'll talk about Travis Hunter coming up here in just a moment. We're certainly glad you're with us to close out the week on a Friday here on Hacker After Dark. Every night on HAD, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
Gator fans, this is fun, isn't it? For the first time since 2014 and only the sixth time in program history, you will be playing in the Final Four tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is 11 years to the day since your last Final Four appearance. 4,018 days in between trips to the Final Four for the Florida Gators. Enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. And not only do you get to enjoy it leading up to tip-off, you are playing in the first ever SEC versus SEC Final Four matchup with Florida and Auburn. Todd Golden and Bruce Pearl. The storylines are juicy. It is a rematch from a terrific Gator win in February. I think it's going to be an awful lot of fun. But as I've told you guys the entire March Madness, and I will continue this message maybe for the last time tonight, I hope you haven't taken it for granted. Because runs like this don't happen but every so often, right? You get spoiled in 05 and 06 and into 07, and you think, wow, we're here, man. It's established. Back-to-back titles. We're a blue blood of college basketball. This will be a norm. And you've made one Final Four since then in the last 18 years until this season. Runs like this don't happen very often. And with what Todd Golden has done, with what Walter Clayton has done, we'll be talking about Walter Clayton for decades. Walter Clayton has already entered the conversation of Neil Walk and Vernon Maxwell and Mike Miller, Joakim Noah, Al Horford, Corey Brewer. He has entered that conversation. And if they win a national championship, if they win 2 more games, then he might be right at the top of that conversation. But at a max, you only have 2 more games to watch Walter Clayton in a Florida Gator uniform. Will Richards spent 3 years in Gainesville. He has been fantastic. Has there been a better transfer portal pickup that Florida's ever had for a single season than what Elijah Martin has brought the Gators this year? Good grief. Again, my message for the last few weeks and my message tonight, going into this weekend, going into the ball game on Saturday, is I hope you've enjoyed every minute of it. I hope you haven't taken it for granted because, again, they've been playing basketball in Gainesville for a long time, man. A long time. And this is only the 6th time they've been to the Final Four. First time in over a decade. In fact, again, 4,018 days since the Gators were last here. Hopefully they can get to the national title game on Monday night. We'll see what happens, but for the here and now, I hope you have enjoyed the ride that Todd Golden and this absolutely terrific Gator basketball team have given you, the Gator Nation. Having said that, I've been trying to get there all week with this game when it comes to Florida, and we're going to talk to a lot of guys tonight, from Neil Blackman of Saturday Down South, former Gator Will You Get, Sean Kelly, the play-by-play voice of the Florida Gators. A lot of college basketball tonight. For me, this game tomorrow has vibes of 2000 Michigan State. And what do I mean by that? Well, the front court in particular, because Florida's got a veteran backcourt. They got 3 seniors. You can't get any more veteran than that. 3 seniors and a junior in Denzel Aberdeen. The backcourt doesn't worry me. It's the front court. Florida dominated the front court matchup in February. They got the best of Caldwell and Broome for Auburn. Can that happen again? But you got 2 guys for Auburn, 2 seniors that are probably playing their final game in an Auburn uniform. And again, going against 3 sophomores and a junior and Micah Hanlockton. There's an age difference there on the front court for Auburn. You got 22 and 23 and 24-year-olds going up against 19 and 20-year-olds. Now, the 19 and 20-year-olds won that battle in February. Can they do it again? I don't know. You know, people call this an Auburn revenge game. I've said all week long, if I'm Florida, I keep hearing how it's hard to beat a team twice in a year. Well, the heck with that. They already beat them once. All you got to do is beat them again. I have gone back and forth on this the entire week. I was very, very much in Auburn's corner earlier in the week. I started drifting to Florida's side. And truth be told, I'm probably still drifting to Florida's side. I just haven't gotten all the way there yet. As it stands right now, I'm going to take Auburn to win. I don't feel as good about it as I did earlier in the week. I've heard some things coming out of the Auburn camp, just watching the demeanor of the Gator camp. Florida looks relaxed. They look engaged. They look enthused. Todd Golden's got a very quiet confidence about him. Again, Florida has heard the entire week, you can't beat a good team twice. I think that's a motivating factor for the Gators in and of itself. I do think regardless of who wins, people are biting fingernails with 2 minutes to go. I think it's very similar to UConn, very similar to Texas Tech. There's not rocket science around this. Here's my thought process. If Florida finds what they had in Nashville, what they had in the SEC tournament, and they can do that tomorrow night, they will beat Auburn. Because Florida at their best can beat Auburn. My concern is Florida has not been at their best. They survived UConn. It took a darn near miraculous comeback to beat Texas Tech. You are not going to be able to do that against the Auburn Tigers. If Florida plays against Auburn like they did against UConn and like they did against Texas Tech, they will lose tomorrow night. To me, this game is much more about Florida than it is Auburn. We know who Auburn is. They're a very, very good basketball team. But when Florida's at their best, I believe they're better than Auburn. When Florida plays like they have recently, I believe Auburn is better than Florida. And as it stands right now, I think it's a 3, 4, 5-point game. Like I said, I think it's in doubt with 2 minutes to go. I'm leaning Auburn the way it stands right now. Denmark of the award-winning Denmark and Marsh podcast. Where are you at with this game tomorrow night?
I think Florida's a little deeper. The last 3 games, they haven't played well, and they've found a way to win. I feel like somehow, some way, they're going to pull together, and they're gonna hit on some kind of cylinder tomorrow. And I think they win by 3 points.
But so you think it's close, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what's interesting, all week long we've heard about the Auburn revenge game. Well, Florida's heard about that too, right? And Florida keeps, like I saw the press conference today out in San Antonio with Todd Golden, and he was asked basically 3 different ways about it being hard to beat a team twice. And I would imagine they're kind of getting tired of hearing that. So if you look for anything to motivate you this time of year, I suppose, I imagine Florida's kind of getting sick of that message.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Auburn's #1 overall seed, but Florida's the favorite. I mean, I don't know if they even pay attention to, if Auburn's the underdog or not.
I don't know why Florida's the favorite. I haven't figured that out all week. Because
probably because what I said, they haven't played well and they've kept winning. And they beat them 2 months ago. And Broom, we haven't talked about this Broom injury. Like, we don't know. He says he's fine, but we don't know.
That's fair. No, you're right. And look, it's funny. Like, there was a camera angle of Broom going into practice today where he looked like he was kind of holding his arm close to his chest a little bit. He knew the camera was there. I think that's a little gamesmanship.
Yeah, I don't believe in that. He knows what he's doing, and
he's not stupid.
He said, I saw one interview that he's tried everything, like even try to fall on the ground, standing up to test his elbow, punched at it, hit the wall, like did everything. So we'll see. I mean, all it takes is a little tweak to mess it up, but I think he'll be fine. He'll get his 20 points.
And how can I say this tactfully? I'm not saying to be a goon. All right, that is not my message for collegiate athletes to be goons out there. But, hey, Ruben Chinyelu. Hey, Micah Hanlockton. All right? Tomorrow night, when Janai Broom is going up for a bucket, you got 10 fouls to use. Let's test that arm a little bit. And again, nothing malicious, nothing dirty, but establish your presence in there, and we'll see how healthy that elbow is. And, by the way, make Broom earn everything from the free throw line. He's a good free throw shooter, but I do not want him weighing the ball up, dunking at anything. You got 20 fouls between your front court, particularly the 10 fouls between Hanlockton and Chinyelu, because those guys won't be on the court late in the game. I would be very, very disappointed if Chinyelu and Hanlockton don't have 4 fouls apiece with 5 minutes to go. I need them to use those 10 fouls tomorrow. Absolutely no question about it. We're going to talk a lot about this game. We will dive into the Jacksonville Jaguars. I want to talk a little Travis Hunter as well coming up in just a bit. But coming up next, Neil Blackman, Saturday Down South. He's got a college basketball podcast that's really terrific, by the way. Neil does a great job covering the Florida Gators. Let's talk about Florida. Let's talk about Auburn. Let's talk about Todd Golden, what we expect tomorrow night, and a little bit on Duke Houston as well, as we kick it off on a Friday, Hacker After Dark, leading you into the weekend right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Touchdown. Every day is a perfect day for football on Jacksonville's football station. Yeah! Just lock your radio on 1010XL to get your year-round football fix. 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Hi, I'm Jeff Breyer, president of Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring.
And I'm Zach Breyer. When my dad started in business in 1990, I wasn't even born yet.
That's true. And after 35 years and nearly 20,000 satisfied customers, we literally have a showroom in every neighborhood.
So whether you need more outdoor living space with a glass or screen enclosure, or you're looking to transform your home with new flooring, we've got you covered.
Visit our websites, or better yet, do yourself a favor and stop by one of our showrooms on Phillips Highway to experience the Lifetime difference and receive 20% off your purchase.
Are you thinking Thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
Out with the old, in with the organized. Mia here for my friends at Closets by Design. Freshen up your home this spring with a custom organization solution. For a limited time, take advantage of our spring special and enjoy exclusive savings on closets, garages, home offices, and more. That's 40% off with an additional 50% off with 12-month special financing through April. Spring on this deal before it's gone. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation with Closets by Design.
If the green jacket fits,
Scheffler outshines them all at Augusta.
listen for 1010XL Masters updates covered by TopDressing.com and St. John's Middle School Athletic Association.
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Tyson Sound & Security has a house built right inside their showroom, showcasing complete home automation and security systems. You have to see it to believe it. This setup can recognize intruders who approach your door and alerts them to leave if there's a break-in. Keep your family safe with the most state-of-the-art technology. Tyson Sound & Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
I'm Stacy, and I want to tell you about my fogged up window fiasco at my house. I called up Mac at Baker Glass. He told me all I needed was a glass replacement. The process was so easy. All within a few days, they came out, measured, called me with an estimate, cut my glass, and came out to install the new ones. Now my view outside is fog-free thanks to Mac and his crew at Baker Glass. And my neighbors think I got some fancy new windows.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Lots of jewelry stores in the town center, but only one is locally owned, Beard's Diamonds.
We're the only local jewelry store at the town center.
That's Jacksonville's John Lupo, owner of Beard's for over 4 decades.
We're entrenched in Jacksonville, Florida.
In a sea of mega chain jewelers, John says it's easy to stand out because he's not handcuffed by a corporate handbook.
I am not beholden to a corporate structure, so we've got flexibility to do whatever we can and want, and we do.
And that includes lowering prices to undercut them every day.
Quality for quality, color for color, everything the same. We should be able to beat them hands down by minimum 20%. We go overseas ourselves. We know exactly what we're buying. This isn't getting marked up in a corporate structure. We will beat anybody's price anywhere.
So before you buy anything at one of those chains, get a second opinion at locally owned Beard's Diamonds. No corporate atmosphere, no corporate rules, no corporate high markups.
We want you to come shop us and you'll see a lot better price here.
Beard's Diamonds.
Everybody gets a good deal at Beard's.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Florida and Auburn Saturday evening in the Final Four in San Antonio. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL Radio. For the first time over a decade, the Florida Gators find themselves in a Final Four matchup, and it's the first time ever we've had SEC versus SEC in a national semifinal. Neil Blackman, Saturday Down South, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Neil, how we doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Neil, we always appreciate it. Know it's a busy time for you. All right, Florida and Auburn. The SEC started with 14. They got 7 into the Sweet 16, and they find 2 left in the Final Four, one of which will play for a national championship. Neil, we always knew that it just meant more on the gridiron, right? But when did it start meaning more on the hardwood? Because the SEC this year was the best conference in college basketball, and I don't think it was particularly close.
It wasn't close. It's been a long journey. I wrote an article about it, I don't know, back in December when they were steamrolling folks in the non-conference. And I think it really all started with a school that wasn't Florida or Kentucky making a splash hire. Like when Auburn went out and hired Bruce Pearl in 2014, it was kind of a message to everyone that you know, these athletic directors, they knew that the SEC network was coming. They knew that the SEC network would need hours and hours to fill content. And they said, hey, we're going to go and get some premier coaches and see if we can start winning. Because if Florida can do it, you know, then certainly you don't have to just be a basketball school to win. And Bruce, you know, Rick Barnes was hired at Tennessee not long after. And then, you know, I think when Avery Johnson was fired at Alabama, they went out and said, we're going to go hire who's the best young mid-major coach in the country. They went out and got Nate Oates, and it just sort of snowballed to now you have Final Four coaches like Chris Beard at Ole Miss. So the coaching and investment in that, and then just the resources that those coaches asked for and were given in order to take those jobs. I don't think that the SEC's grip on the sport is going anywhere.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I agree with you. I don't think this is a one-off. In the land of NIL and with all the money that pumps into the Southeastern Conference and everything they have as far as those resources, look, I don't know if they're going to get 14 teams in for the next couple of years. That might be ambitious, but I agree. I think the SEC is here to stay as far as being on top in college basketball.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, and I'm with you. Like 14 teams, I didn't think they should have gotten 14 in this year. Honestly, Texas getting in was surprising to borderline not right. But the point is, like, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a 10, 11 bid league in the foreseeable future, even if there's a drop-off next year. And I anticipate, you know, it's hard to say in the era of the portal how big that will be, but certainly they lose some marquee players. We will see, you know, who rebuilds. But yeah, I mean, some of these premier programs that have been built, Alabama, Auburn, what Todd's building at Florida, that's not going anywhere. And it seems like, you know, Kentucky has the right coach in place now. There's an argument that there certainly could be more Final Fours with 2 SEC programs in the foreseeable future.
Neil Blackman, Saturday Down South with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Neil, let's get to Florida. You know, it wasn't a long time ago when Billy Donovan left that I had Gator buddies telling me, well, we're never going to get back to where Billy had us. And I think that's probably true. I mean, how many teams win back-to-back titles? But they were also telling me at the time, you know, number 1 seeds and being ranked in the top 5. That's probably a thing of the past. And in less than 3 years on the job, that is exactly what Todd Golden has done. 34-4, back in a Final Four, a number 1 seed nationally. Neil, how did Todd Golden do this in such a quick amount of time?
Well, I think Florida, you know, when Scott Strickland made this hire, he wanted somebody that was on the cutting edge of what was happening in the sport. So what does that mean? It means he wanted somebody that was capable of roster construction in an age of the transfer portal. And then he knew that Florida would be financially stable with the coming of NIL, at least in the basketball arena. They obviously have had a lot of work to do in football to catch up. But in basketball, it's been stable. Florida's NIL isn't the best in the SEC, or even in the top 3, but it's very good. It's very competitive. So Todd has the resources he needs, but he also is a guy who, was on the cutting edge. They have a director of scouting and analytics named Jonathan Sapphire, who's functionally the general manager. So Florida came in and, had someone in sort of a general manager role before anyone was doing that. Now a bunch of programs are naming people directors of scouting and analytics and general managers. They're looking at sort of Moneyball ways to build rosters in the transfer portal. Like if this guy's great at 3-point shooting and this guy brings offensive rebounding, and that's the way that Todd built his roster, was bringing in players who fit specific roles and had, personalities that he thought he could coach. And so it's just been a master job in roster construction. And at 39, I don't think that that's going to stop any. John Shire at Duke, I would point out, is another guy who had a director of scouting and analytics when he took over from Mike Krzyzewski. And he's brought in players like Mason Gillis, who fit specific roles, right? Malik Brown was front court depth. I mean, the whole point is how do you build a roster to best serve, your best players? And that's what Todd's done this year with everything that he's built around Walter Clayton Jr.
Neil, it's a terrific point. You look at the roster construction. I mean, you rattle off the teams from Florida Atlantic to Belmont to Elon to Marshall to Washington State. I mean, you're not exactly talking about the blue bloods of college basketball, yet that's where these guys came from that are now starring at the University of Florida. Will Richard, Belmont, Walter Clayton, Elon, Elijah Martin, FAU, Micah Hanlockton, Marshall, Ruben Chinyalu, Washington State, and yet these guys are now 2 wins away from a national title. Combine that with the fact that Denzel Aberdeen wasn't even the most highly recruited guy on his own high school team, if memory serves. Right. I want to say that was Riley Kugel, who's now entered the portal for a 3rd time, mind you, earlier this week. And Aberdeen's done great, and that brings us to Condon and Houck. Houck had 1 SEC offer. He lived 10 minutes from Penn State. I have no idea what they were doing. Condon, nobody knew about him, seemingly, in Australia. And these guys, these island of misfit toys, mind you, I guess, are now all of a sudden 2 wins away from a national championship. I mean, it's an incredible story.
It is an incredible story, and I honestly think it's a little bit underlooked in terms of what an amazing story it is. They're the only roster in the Final Four without a top 100 player from a high school standpoint. As you mentioned Tommy Houck, he's a guy who got a 3rd star just because he committed to Florida. He was otherwise not a guy with stars by his name while being recruited. And yeah, I mean, all 3, the best backcourt in the country is 3 mid-major guards, plus Denzel Aberdeen, who was not the most highly recruited player on that Dr. Phillips team that he played for in Orlando. So they have done just an exceptional job of evaluating talent and evaluating fit. And for fit, I would bring up Elijah Martin because, Florida did have the opportunity to bring in Elijah's teammate, John L. Davis, from the portal. And it's not a knock on John L., don't get me wrong. But Florida kind of looked at fit and they said, what do we want to spend our NIL on? Do we want a guy who needs the ball a lot and can score and is really definitely a bucket like Janelle Davis? Or do we want a guy who's going to raise the competitiveness of everybody in the building? And what he gives us offensively is great, but mainly we need him to guard and we need him to lead. And to them, I mean, they've told me it was a no-brainer. Like, they went after Elijah Martin for those specific reasons. And who makes a critical 2-point bucket down 10 points against Texas Tech to start the comeback? Elijah Martin. Who knocks down 2 free throws, including the front end of a 1-and-1 when it's 78-77 in the Elite Eight? Elijah Martin. Gets a tip-out, run-out dunk. Without Elijah Martin, this team is not that way. Will Richard told me that they feed off Elijah's energy, and that just speaks to the type of evaluations that this staff has made and how they put this roster together. It is an incredible story.
Final moments, Neil Blackman, Saturday down south. All right, let's get to Florida and Auburn on Saturday. A rematch from a game in February. Of course, Florida won that game. Now, the interesting thing about that, no Elijah Martin, no Micah Hanlockton, but Sam Alexis and Klobuchar both had really good games for Florida, so those two probably won't play, and obviously Hanlockton and Elijah Martin will play. So I don't know how much we can decipher from that. And what's interesting to me, Neil, as well, is I got Auburn buddies that are texting me talking about revenge, man. It's going to be the revenge game, right? Well, that's fine and well, but Florida beat Auburn on their home floor and essentially was given very little credit for that. Auburn never fell below them in the rankings. I even saw power rankings in the SEC literally the Sunday after that game that still had Auburn above Florida. It's almost as if that game never happened, at least in the court of national opinion, which I think could potentially be a powerful motivator for the Gators as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Final Four is self-motivating, so I think the revenge angle is really for fans. To me, it's Florida hasn't played its best basketball in the NCAA tournament yet. They played one phenomenal half against Maryland. Otherwise, Todd said yesterday that we haven't played a complete game yet. And I think that's true. Now, if you're Auburn, I think they played about as well as they can play in the Elite Eight win over Michigan State. They got up 23-8. That game was not competitive. I mean, I know the score seemed that way, but Auburn was in complete control of that basketball game. Auburn also matches up really well with Michigan State, and they match up less well with Florida. So it really is Janai okay? How's the elbow? That's question one. And then what does Florida do to kind of corral Tahad Pettiford? They did limit him the first game with Will Richard and Denzel Aberdeen kind of bothering him. He scored 14 points, but a lot of them came late. He's a much better player now than he was February 8th. So they've got to keep Pettiford from exploding because it opens up other stuff for Auburn's offense. Auburn's bench, unlike Florida, Auburn's bench is narrower than it was then. They played 8 or 9 in that game. They're going to play 7 Saturday. So, does Florida's depth matter, and can they contain Tahad Pettiford? Those are the big questions for me, but I like Florida in this game.
Neil, as we wrap up, look, it's going to be tough for anybody to come out of San Antonio with a title. These are clearly the 4 best teams in the land. I would think Duke is probably the betting favorite going in. They are very, very good. But my thought on Auburn, Duke, and maybe even lump Houston in there. Houston's a little more battle-tested, so maybe let's just focus on Auburn and Duke, if that's Florida's path. I'd like to see Auburn and Duke in a win-or-go-home scenario where they're down 9 with 3 minutes to go, or even down 4 with 3.5 minutes to go, like Florida has. Florida has lived that life. Duke has destroyed basically everybody, and Auburn has had a reasonably easy time with it in the last 10 minutes of all 4 of their wins. That's why, to me, if it's close in the second half with 5 minutes or fewer to go, I give the edge to Florida because they've had that pressure on them. The other two have not. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's certainly right in terms of Florida and Duke. Or, Houston, obviously a little bit more battle-tested. But if it's Florida, Auburn, Duke, yeah, I mean, I think that's true. Florida also has the best shot maker of the bunch in Walter Clayton Jr. And, I mean, so if you're picking a player on any of those 3 teams that you want to give the basketball with the game on the line, I mean, Florida clearly has the best option, right? And that stuff matters. I mean, Walt makes video game threes to take the lead in the Elite Eight. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. I will point out Auburn, like Florida, was down 9 points in the second weekend in the Sweet 16 to Michigan, and they closed that game on a 40-17 scoring run, which I thought was probably the most impressive basketball they played in over a month. Now, they weren't, they've got to carry that over the second half of Michigan and the Michigan State game into the weekend. But if they do, they're going to be formidable. But like you said, these are the 4 best teams in the country. Nothing's going to be easy.
Neil Blackman, Saturday Down South. Neil, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about your coverage and what they can expect on the website in the coming days leading up to the Final Four.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. You can find all my writing and work over at Saturday Down South, and then a lot of Florida basketball talk on the podcast, Florida Basketball Hour. So that's what we do, all at Saturday Down South and Florida Basketball Hour, pretty much wherever you stream. So appreciate you having me.
Neil, appreciate the time. Know you're very busy this time of year. Thank you, pal. We'll do it again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
There you go. Neil Blackman with us here on Hacker After Dark. Appreciate his time. And, yeah, the Florida Basketball Hour, the podcast, and then Saturday down south. You know, it's interesting. So at the station earlier this week, and we just put it on social media a couple hours ago, we were asked to comment if Florida is a top 5 college basketball program of the last quarter century, the last 25 years. And look, I understand people that are anti-Florida. I probably understand it now more than I have when I was younger. I get the Gator coverage and, you know, this, that, and the other. And I get if you're not a Gator fan, that can rub you the wrong way. But I have been stunned in the last, say, hour and a half, 2 hours since we released that video. I'm on it. Hickens on it. Me O'Brien's on it. A few of us at the station are on it. I've been stunned at a couple of the reactions I've gotten saying it's just absolutely preposterous to think Florida is a top 5 college basketball program of the last 25 years. You guys that are saying that are nuts. Florida, look, and I get it if you hate the Gators, all right? I'm with you. You know, they're your rival, and you don't like them, and when you see orange and blue, you just see venom spewing out of your eyes. All right, that's fine. That's what makes the sports world go round. But you're nuts if you don't think Florida is a top 5 college basketball team of the last 25 years. Never mind the Final Four in 94, because that doesn't apply here in the last 25 years. The Gators will be in their 5th Final Four tomorrow in the last 25 years. They've won 2 national championships in the last 25 years. Denmark, how many college basketball Division I programs are there? Like 350?
I know it's over 300.
If Florida happens to win the next 2 games, if they happen to win the next 2 games, they will have 3 national championships, which will tie them for 8th out of over 350 schools. And they would have done that within that 25-year window. UConn, Villanova, Kentucky, Duke, and Florida. How you can say Florida is not a top 5 basketball program in the last 25 years is insanity to me.
So real quick, I just pulled this up on Google. College basketball's top 20 programs since 97. This article came out of June of last year.
Okay.
Guess where they had Florida?
You said the top 20?
Yeah.
Because you're asking me, I'll say they had them 12th.
14.
Yeah, that's crap. Again, that's crap.
They had Gonzaga 6, Michigan State 5.
Gonzaga? Look, Gonzaga hasn't won a title. I mean, I don't know. Give me the top 5, top 6 or 7.
All right, top 5. One is Duke.
Yeah.
Kentucky, Kansas, Carolina, Michigan State 5, Gonzaga 6.
Michigan State is a top 5 basketball program of the last 25 years. Again, it depends on how much you count titles, I guess. Michigan State has 1 title, and they beat Florida to get it in 2000. Florida is 2 wins away from getting their 3rd title in the same time frame. I don't know. I just think that people, because again, I was getting ripped on social media, and I'm pretty accustomed to that at this point. But just saying how preposterous it is to insinuate that Florida is the top 5 basketball program of the last quarter century.
So you don't think Ohio State and Arizona have had better programs in the last 20 years?
I don't.
They were ahead of them.
Who did that list?
It's 247 Sports.
Wow, I'm stunned by that because they're a good publication. They're off on that one. That's a
even
miss.
had Texas ahead of Florida on this.
Yeah, that's a miss. Whoever did that, who did it? Is there a name? Actually, no. Let's not bury anybody.
All right, I got the person's name.
Yeah, let's not bury. Have I had him on my show in the past 3 years?
No, I've never heard of this person.
Okay, well that don't bury the person, but that probably stands to reason. Absolutely, Florida's a top 5 basketball program in the last quarter century. Having said that, I think Auburn wins the game tomorrow. So you can't accuse me of being a Gator homer here. But come on, man. 5 Final Fours in the last 25 years. 3 national championship games, 2 national championships. Give me a break if you don't think they're a top 5 program. A guy that was on one of those Final Four teams is Will Yeget. He was a terrific player at the University of Florida, 2011, 12, 13, and 14. Will Yeget's actually still playing professional ball over in Europe. Over a decade of pro ball in Europe for Will Yeget. I had the chance to catch up with him earlier in the week to get his thoughts on his alma mater making another Final Four, talk Todd Golden and this Gator basketball team. Gator fans, I think you'll enjoy this. Former Gator player Will Yeget joins us next on a Friday night here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us on Hacker After Dark.
Go full throttle for a photo finish.
Look at this. Oh!
Sunday at Darlington.
Checkered flag is out.
Powered by the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local Union 234 and 1010XL.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Charles.
6.
Oh, so close. Betty for the steal.
What about the bank that helps you reach your financial goals? Synovus.
Let's see, judges. Yes, looks like we have a winner.
That's a number?
Sorry, Charlie. Remember, a solid financial future doesn't happen by chance. Talk with Synovus about your potential today.
Brought to you by Synovus Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. The number was 4.
Your Jacksonville Sharks are back and ready to take the field for the 15th anniversary season. The Drive for 5 starts Sunday, April 6th as your Sharks take on the Las Vegas Nighthawks. Ask about special ticket pricing for all you sports teams at jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. 904-621-0700.
Go Sharks! Prosser here. Sharks football is back. Come celebrate the 15th anniversary season this Sunday, April 6th, as the Sharks take on the Las Vegas Nighthawks in their home opener at the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Already 1-0, the Sharks look to crush Vegas on Pirates and Princesses Night. Have some family fun and break out your best pirate hat or tiara.
We're naught but humble pirates.
For tickets and special pricing for youth sports teams, go to jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. That's jacksharks.com or 621-0700.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
This is head coach Matthew Driscoll from the UNF men's basketball team. When our players suffer an orthopedic injury, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists gets our players back on the court pain-free.
We appreciate the endorsements from our high school and college coaches. This is Dr. Kevin Murphy. Next time you need orthopedic care, you can rely on our team at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Scholar athletes don't just score on the field. They also excel in the classroom.
That's why 1010XL salutes the Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, Scholar Athlete of the Week.
Wednesdays on The Frangie Show. Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local Union 234.
Your home is your sanctuary where memories are made. Jack's homeowners trust Superior Fence and Rail to make their home feel safe, secure, and complete. Imagine a classic wood fence for privacy, sturdy aluminum to protect your pets, or a modern vinyl design that boosts curb appeal. Every fence is built with precision and pride, standing strong in every season.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Right now, they're on their way to disrupt your life, make you uncomfortable, and rob you.
Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. That's right. Summer heat and humidity are about to attack North Florida again. You know what to do. Call Mike Merritt. Mike Merritt's Heating and Air has a license to chill. When heat and humidity are attacking you, Mike Merritt provides a comfortable chill at a bargain price. Mike has been keeping North Florida comfortable for 30 years. Mike Merritt technicians are never paid commissions, meaning you'll never be pressured to buy something you don't need. And Mike Merritt knows cooling issues can arise anytime. They don't just happen during business hours. So Mike Merritt never charges overtime fees. When you need us, we're here for you. Remember, in the fight against heat and humidity, Mike Merritt has a license to chill. Visit merrittair.com. Florida license number CACO 50384.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is JJ with 1010XL. No matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at kuhnflowers.com.
Ackerman Urology has 4 convenient locations providing advanced urological care to improve men's health and sexual vitality. Don't suffer through prostate, bladder, or kidney issues. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
The magical basketball ride continues for Gators fans this weekend, and now you can remember all 34 Gators wins with a full-size Season to Remember basketball for only $149.95, featuring scores of every game along with embossed logos, championship history, and more on panels of the ball. Order now. Get one of only 5,000 licensed balls. Call 800-345-2868, 800-345-2868, or visit nikcosports.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, the Gators in the Final Four for the first time in over a decade. It has been quite the run for Walter Clayton, Todd Golden, and the rest of this Gator basketball program. First time they've been in the Final Four in over a decade. The last time the Gators were in the Final Four was in 2014. And one of the key players on that Gator basketball team was Will Yeget. And Will joins us here right now on 1010XL. Will, it's a pleasure, man. How are you?
How are you doing? I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Hey, Will, we're good. Thank you for the time. And it's a busy time for you. I know you're keeping track of your Gators, but you're right in the midst of another season over there in Europe, man. Tell us about what you're up to these days.
Yes, sir. I'm here playing in France right now. Doing well. 10th season as a pro, so can't complain. I'm healthy. I'm thankful that I'm still able to play at a high level, and just trying to add the years and stay healthy and see how far I can go.
10 years as a pro basketball player for Will Yeget. That is absolutely sensational. All right, I know following you on social media, you're all into the orange and blue, your alma mater. You obviously had a ton of success with Billy Donovan back in the day at the University of Florida. Will, how fun has it been for you to watch this Gator basketball team do what they've done so far?
Man, it's been great. It's been great. I think everybody is having a good time watching them play. They have had an amazing season, been put in different situations throughout the year, and they were able to win games. They lost some games as well, but they always were able to bounce back. I think this is a great team, great guys. Seem like they really enjoy playing for one another, and obviously winning helps, but it hasn't always been easy for them, and I feel like the fact that they're able to win in different kind of ways, I think that's really great for them.
Will, you obviously had so much success at Florida. Those teams you were on, deep tournament runs, including that Final Four in 2014. And you know better than a lot of people that maybe you got to get lucky a couple of times.
Yes.
and look, Florida on Saturday night, down 9 with 2:50 to go. Will, I thought it was over. I think a lot of Gator fans thought it was over. How do you summarize that comeback that Florida was able to make against Texas Tech?
I think they stayed poised and they believed in themselves. And the game is not over until it's over. Obviously, we have great talents in the team. I think that down the stretch, the best player, arguably the best player in the nation, was able to make plays, great plays, and I think he's been doing that the whole year. And the fact they were able to get some stops defensively in the last 2.5 minutes really just changed the game. And I think that Texas Tech was looking to be shaky down the stretch, and obviously the missed free throws helped us a lot. And you gotta have the ability also to make shots. I think that we showed some great leadership and poise, and they just stayed focused and just let the game come to them. I think that game is really, really one of the best games I've seen in a long time.
Will Yeguet was a terrific basketball player at the University of Florida. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville, Florida, and Auburn. You can hear the game right here Saturday night, the Final Four in San Antonio. Will, you mentioned Walter Clayton, man. You're a 10-year professional overseas in Europe. You played at the highest level in the NCAA tournament. You played in a Final Four. You're a perfect person to ask. How do you explain some of these shots that Walter Clayton is hitting in crunch time?
His confidence. His confidence is great. He believes in himself. I think also he has been playing that way the whole season. And he knows the leader of the team. He knows that the team trusts him, trusts his shot. And that I feel like every time the ball goes up, everybody believes that it's going to go in. And he doesn't doubt. I think that he takes what the defense is giving him. And it feels like every shot he takes is going to go in. So I think that he's just playing the best basketball of his career right now. And he just shows so much poise and so much confidence. I think that's what really makes a difference, especially down the stretch.
And it's a deep Gator team, particularly in the front court,
Yes.
Will. When you talk about
Yes.
Handlockton and Condon and Hauk and, obviously Chinyalu and all these guys, I mean, what does it mean to be able to rotate so many bodies in and out of the lineup?
I'm a big fan of Hawk, to be honest. I like his energy. I like his game. I think he's improving every single game. I saw that down the stretch in the last game. And the fact that, Florida has, I would say, 4 bigs that can just play 15, 20 minutes a game. I think that not a lot of teams have that kind of depth. And for a tournament like this one, I think it really helps the team be able to reach different bodies and also tire out the other team. And the fact that they are probably the best team in rebounding in the whole NCAA, I think that having all these guys crashing the boards every single possession, I think towards the whole game, the teams they play against gets tired. And that's really what makes the difference down the stretch.
Now, Will, in 2014, your Final Four appearance, you guys saw UConn in the regular season. You played them again in the Final Four. That's going to be the same situation here. Florida played Auburn back in February. They see Auburn again in the Final Four. How is that dynamic? How does the first game maybe translate to the second game?
Different game, different atmosphere, different goals. I think that the game in the regular season was just one game. This one is to advance to the championship game. So I think it's going to be a big challenge. I think Auburn's going to come ready to play and ready to show that the game they lost at home was just one game. And the fact that Florida beat them already, I hope that they come ready to play. I think they will. It's just going to be a tough battle because I think Auburn is a good team, experienced team as well. They have big bodies inside, and I think that whoever wins the inside battle would advance to the next game.
Final moments with Will Yeguet, former Gator great. He's over there in Europe playing in his 10th year in professional basketball in Europe. All right, Will, Billy Donovan, obviously the coach that you played for. He's got his name on the court here in Gainesville. Todd Golden, I think when Billy left, no one thought Florida would maybe get back to that point. And they're certainly not back to where Billy had them. But Todd Golden, in just his third year, has Florida back in the Final Four, has them as a number 1 seed, 34-4 overall. Just speak to the job that Todd Golden has done in such a short amount of time with your alma mater.
Well, he was able to bring guys that, believe in his vision. I think also today with the transfer portal, it's not easy to keep guys in your team and get guys that want to commit to the team for the long run. And I think he was able to do that. And just the style of the play he's able to put together. Guys believe in him and believe in his vision. Guys want to play for him. And guys are having fun on the court. Obviously, winning helps. But he created just a different kind of mindset, a different kind of, vision and pace to the game. They play extremely fast. They play hard, or every position they can also guard. And they have guys that are able to do what needs to be done to win games. Playing defense, rebounding, hustle plays, and he had also talented guys that are able to make shots. I think that the fact that he was able to kind of change the face of Florida basketball for the past 3 years and obviously get into Final Four this year. I think it shows that he's a really, really good coach, and also that hopefully in the years going forward, he's able to maintain the same kind of flow of game he's able to put together the past 3 years, and I hope that he's able to continue his legacy at Florida.
Will, as we wrap up, outside of Elijah Martin, not one Gator player has played in a Final Four. They're going to do that on Saturday night. You obviously had a lot of experience in Elite Eights. You made it to a Final Four as well. What's a piece of advice you would give this Gator basketball team as they get ready to play in San Antonio?
Just keep playing like they've been playing. Keep believing in each other. They got here for a reason. They played Sunaway the whole year, and they've been winning a lot of games. So don't try to change how they've been playing. And if they are down during the game, just keep believing in themselves, believing in what they've been working on. And just don't change anything now because it's been working. So keep doing the same thing and do it at a high level and put the best chance on your side to be able to win in advance.
Will, do you ever make it back to Gainesville? I know you were certainly a fan favorite during your time over here. Do you ever make it back to these parts?
Last time I came was 2022, I think it was in March. I watched the last game of the regular season against Kentucky, but haven't got a chance to go back there since then. I'm trying to go there, but it starts during the season because I'm playing here in France and my season is still going on, so it's hard for me to go there. But hopefully, eventually, I will have to go back there and see the new place, see the guys, and also attend the game.
Well, you were certainly a fan favorite. Best of luck as your career continues over there in Europe. We certainly appreciate you taking time out for us tonight.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
Maybe the problem is
your morning attitude adjustment.
We're coddling these guys too much.
The Drill.
Yeah.
Weekday mornings on 1010XL, Jacksonville's sports radio.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and there's so many cool products that are on the line at Cycles of Jacksonville. Showroom is Atlantic and Regency, and we're talking, Greg, you've got from any level of price point, the experienced rider to the inexperienced on-road, off-road.
We've got it. We've got ATVs, we've got motorcycles, we've got scooters, we even have the new Honda boats. We've got something for everyone.
Don't forget about the boat line from Honda. It's all right there, waiting for you. Atlantic and Regency or Cycles of Jacksonville's Facebook page.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just a job, but an experience, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
Pick it here for Bow 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bow 9. Visit Bow 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bow 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Instant Keys
saves the day if you have lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call 722-1111.
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Have you or someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI and all criminal offenses. I've been named the best DUI attorney in the state, and David has been named the best criminal defense lawyer in Jacksonville. In your battle with the justice system, there is only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645.
Do you know someone looking for a fun and rewarding summer job? Join the YMCA team, gain valuable experience, and make a difference in kids' lives. Turn your passion for this community into a fulfilling career at the First Coast YMCA. Now hiring camp counselors, lifeguards, childcare leaders, and membership experience team. Every single person on the dedicated YMCA staff plays a role in making the Y a welcoming and vital resource for our community. Find your career at the Y at fcymca.org.
Equal opportunity employer.
Cannonball!
Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage too.
Beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get Zero Resified and take 25% off all services. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com and tell them Hicken or 1010XL sent you.
Zero Res.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock as we do every night right here. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL at 92.5 FM. Thank you again to Will You Get. Loved Will You Get's game when he was a Florida Gator, and good for him. A 10-year pro basketball career over in Europe, still getting after it. And appreciate Will You Get for joining us here this week on Hacker After Dark. Sean Kelly, the play-by-play voice of the Florida Gators, joins us coming up in about 15 minutes. Also, Chris Lee of the Southeastern 16 podcast coming up later on in the 9 o'clock hour. Quickly, off of basketball for a moment, I did want to spend some time on the draft. And today was an interesting day because it was the pro day in Boulder, Colorado, for the Colorado Buffaloes. Obviously, that means Shedeur Sanders, and obviously that means Travis Hunter. You know, there was a week or two here in Jacksonville where we thought that maybe, just maybe, Travis Hunter might fall to number 5. I think that thought, at least for me, has been erased from my mind. And truthfully, I'm okay with that, and I'll tell you why. We all saw what Travis Hunter did at Colorado. He was a great wide receiver, a great defensive back, an all-world player, both sides of the ball, a Heisman Trophy winner, right? And I know he's saying all the right things and saying that he wants to play both sides of the ball in the NFL. I thought Hayes Carline brought up a really interesting point earlier on the Frangie show, and he was talking about Deion Sanders, Charles Woodson, and Champ Bailey. The last 3 guys that played on both sides of the ball in college. Now, Travis Hunter did it more than those 3 guys did, but Deion, Charles Woodson, and Champ Bailey did play offensive football in college prior to them going to the NFL. And you're talking about three of the best defensive backs that have ever walked planet Earth. Again, Champ Bailey, Charles Woodson, and Deion Sanders. Pretty athletic guys, unbelievable football talents, right? All three of those guys didn't play both ways in the NFL. They all played defensive back and were unbelievably good at defensive back and are all now in Canton, Ohio in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Maybe Travis Hunter will get there someday, but if Travis Hunter gets there someday, it's going to be along the same path. He's not going to be a top 10 wide receiver and a top 10 defensive back in the NFL. He's just not. You can't do it. It's impossible. Imagine this scenario. Let's say the Cleveland Browns draft him number 2 overall. For argument's sake, Cleveland drafts him number 2. And he's going to play both ways, right? He's going to do everything. Wide out, DB, he's going to do it all. So opening week, Cleveland gets the ball in the opening kickoff, and their offense goes out there first, and Travis Hunter catches a couple of passes, maybe even gets a first down. But Cleveland ultimately has to punt. And that week, they happen to be playing Cincinnati. So after Travis Hunter is on the field for 6 or 7 offensive snaps, he then is going to go out on defense and guard Jamar Chase. Who are you kidding? That is not going to happen. Or better yet, maybe he's drafted by the New York Giants, right? And same thing. He goes out there, catches a couple of passes, but then now he has to go back on the field and guard A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith or Terry McLaurin or C.D. Lamb. No. I don't doubt Travis Hunter is going to be a really good football player at either wide receiver or defensive back. I think Travis Hunter will be a Pro Bowler, maybe an All-Pro, and maybe one day he will end up in Canton, Ohio, but it won't be playing 2 spots. It'll be playing 1 spot, just like Deion Sanders, just like Charles Woodson, and just like Champ Bailey. Some people will tell you Travis Hunter would be a better wide receiver. And goodness knows with the money wide receivers are getting, maybe the route he wants to go. Well, if that's the case, and he's going to be primarily a wide receiver, well, the Jaguars wouldn't have a need there anyway, unless they're going to make him wide receiver 2, because guess what? We have a wide receiver 1 in Brian Thomas Jr. If he's a primary defensive back, well, obviously that is a need for Jacksonville, no question about it. Look, I think Travis Hunter, again, good football player, maybe a great football player, but this pipe dream that people have, this Neverland, Peter Pan, mindset people have that Travis Hunter is going to play 45 offensive snaps, 45 defensive snaps, and be incredible on both sides of the ball is outrageous to me. Keep in mind, in the history of the NFL, and that's a pretty long time that they've been doing this, right? No one's done that. Not Deion Sanders, not Charles Woodson, not Champ Bailey, no one. Why do you think that is? Look, it's easy to do that when you're playing Kansas or Iowa State or Kansas State. It might be a little tougher when you're playing the Baltimore Ravens or the Philadelphia Eagles or the Washington Commanders. So again, I'm not all that upset about Travis Hunter not coming to Jacksonville. I think he's going to go in the first 4 picks. I think whichever side he ultimately chooses to play, offense or defense, he'll be very good. But by no way do I think he's going to play both, at least considerably. Maybe some wrinkles here and there, but not considerable playing time at both. Also, Shedeur Sanders, here's my thought when it relates to the Jaguars. Obviously, the Jaguars are not going to draft him, but if Shedeur Sanders gets by the top 4, and there's a chance he will, wonder if Jacksonville's phone at 5 begins ringing. Whether it's New Orleans at 9, whether it's Pittsburgh at 21. Could Jacksonville be in a prime spot to trade back for a team that wants to get up to take Shedeur Sanders? And how much of a king's ransom might Jacksonville be able to get for that? Look, if Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Will Campbell are all gone, yeah, you could draft Mason Graham, or you could accumulate picks, trade back, Maybe take a Kenneth Grant or a Tet McMillan or a Jalen Carter. I think they're going to want to accumulate draft picks. That's the message that James Gladstone's been given, and I think that's what he wants to do. And it would not surprise me if that's their goal coming up in less than 3 weeks. Tomorrow, 1010 XL, 92.5 FM, the Gator Radio Network. Tip time, 6:09. Broadcast time on the Gator Radio Network is 5:30. The man that will be on the play-by-play call of Florida-Auburn is my buddy Sean Kelly of the Gator Radio Network, the play-by-play voice of the Florida Gators. He joins us next on a Friday night, a night before the Final Four in San Antonio. It's Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock right here on 1010 XL and on 92.5 FM.
Jaguars and Gators, pro, college, and high school sports.
Wow.
Get the most play-by-play on 1010 XL, Jacksonville's play-by-play sports radio.
Jacksonville's summer heat is coming in fast. Is your AC ready to handle it? Or will it quit on you on the hottest day of the year, leaving you sweating and stuck with a huge repair bill? Duck Air Conditioning is here to save the day with a free AC system inspection. Our expert techs will make recommendations to ensure your AC system is running in tip-top shape before the heat arrives. Call now, 904-862-6769. Duck Air Conditioning, duckac.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
Make the most of every lawn with Kubota commercial landscaping equipment. From the productivity-boosting Z700 mower to the reliable SVL track loader, it's a lineup built to get the job done right. Because when your reputation is on the line, you need equipment that will never let you down. Visit Coastal Equipment in Jacksonville or McClenny.
Greater power for the great outdoors. Coastal Equipment.
Coastal Equipment on New Kings Road and in McClenny.
Hi, I'm Jeff Breyer, president of Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring.
And I'm Zach Breyer. When my dad started in business in 1990, I wasn't even born yet.
That's true. And after 35 years and nearly 20,000 satisfied customers, we literally have a showroom in every neighborhood.
So whether you need more outdoor living space with a glass or screen enclosure, or you're looking to transform your home with new flooring, we've got you covered.
Visit our websites, or better yet, do yourself a favor and stop by one of our showrooms on Phillips Highway to experience the Lifetime difference and receive 20% off your purchase.
You can't go inside your home team's locker room, so Jags beat reporter Hayes Carline goes there for you.
Work on three, 1, 2, 3,
Hayes Carline here. Find my blog at 1010xl.com.
Brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing, where quality and experience count.
Got a cracked windshield? Not only is it dangerous, but did you know it's also illegal? Call Baker Glass. Mack and his crew use the best auto glass in the market, and they accept most insurance. Plus, all new windshields come with a full warranty. From cars to trucks to RVs, you can count on Baker Glass to be fast and friendly. Just check out their Google reviews. Come see us at the shop on Casta Avenue, or we can come to you at your home or business.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Friendly competition meets great futures. It's the Birdies and Bounces Tournament presented by the Mackenzie Noel Wilson Foundation, Friday, May 9th at the Yards. Where else can a pickleball tournament, 15 holes of golf, food, fun, beverages, raffles, and great activities help a worthy organization like the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida, where 59 clubs serve nearly 6,000 youth daily. For tickets and team registration, email Charlie C. at bgcnf.org.
If you suffer from constant burning, tingling, or numbness in your hands or feet, it could be a serious condition called neuropathy. I'm Dr. Nathan Riddle, DC with Riddle Wellness in Ponte Vedra. Neuropathy is treatable, and we have seen great results by using state-of-the-art, non-invasive therapies to target damaged nerves, reduce symptoms, and improve nerve function. Call 904-395-5598 to schedule your free consultation today and learn how you can live pain-free. Call 904-395-5598.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Your tax refund is here. Why not invest in your home? Superior Fence and Rail helps you build value with beautiful, durable fences that boost your home security, privacy, and curb appeal. With expert installation and financing options, turning your yard into an outdoor oasis is easier than ever. Reinvest in your home today with Superior Fence and Rail.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
With so many competitive pest services in town, you might wonder why Kingfish Pest Control's business is booming while similar companies seem to be struggling. It all comes down to service, affordability, and effectiveness. Kingfish Pest Control is a local family-owned company who delivers on their promises to effectively control pests like ants, spiders, roaches, termites, mosquitoes, and more. Your home is their priority, so call today and discover why your neighbors and your buddy Hayes Carlion trust Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Florida and Auburn, Saturday evening. San Antonio, Texas, the Final Four. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL, and the man that will be on the play-by-play call for the Florida Gators is Sean Kelly, and Sean's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL Radio. Sean, how we doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, really appreciate it. Know you're very busy early in the week as you get ready to travel to San Antonio. Sean, I'll be honest, man, I did not think the Gators would be traveling to San Antonio with 3 minutes to go on Saturday night. Texas Tech was up 9, and then one of the greatest comebacks in Florida program history happened. You were right there for it all. What did you think when it was going down?
No, I don't think you were alone in thinking that it didn't look good with that amount of time left and down by the number that they were. But, you know, this is an interesting team in that they have proven throughout the season that they can win in different ways, and that includes comebacks. That was their fourth comeback win of the season when down by double-digit points. They had to make an adjustment and hope the adjustment would maybe crack the door against Texas Tech, and it did. And then guys had to hit shots, and boy, did they. Thomas Houck, Walter Clayton, and then, of course, they made free throws in that mix, too, to put together what turned out to be, I think it was an 18-4 run before it was all said and done to win and advance to the Final Four. So it almost felt like in that moment it was meant to be. I don't know if Red Raider fans want to hear that or anybody else who doesn't believe in fate or anything like that, but that's just the feeling that I had as the thing came to a conclusion. And sure enough, people were asking me, well, what did you say on the radio during all that? And I, honest to God, in the moment, I didn't remember. I couldn't remember what I had said. I had to go back and listen to some of it. So it was remarkable. It was stunning. It's just another, when teams have great runs like this one's had in a season where there are wild moments, it was just another one of those kind of moments that you'll go back. And when this team reunites or fans sit around, have a beer and talk about it, they'll remember that as being one of the big moments of the year.
And the shots were one thing, obviously, but Todd Golden and the fouls that he used on Texas Tech and the 1-and-1, maybe it was analytics driven, whatever it was a perfect coaching decision by Todd Golden to get the Gators extra possessions there.
It was, but they also had to get some stops. You know, Dorian Williams, who had had his way with Florida, misses a big three. He got kind of an open look. Obviously the foul situation where the Red Raiders missed the two front ends of the 1s-and-1. That all played into it too, but they had to make an adjustment on how to defend Williams in the low post, get the ball out of his hands or make him try and shoot it from somewhere else. All those things factored in. You're right. It was another, I guess, example of how good Todd Golden is with regard to in-game adjustments.
Sean Kelly, the radio play-by-play voice of the Florida Gators, with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Sean, you sit next to Lee Humphrey on these broadcasts. Lee is probably the best Gator shooter of all time. I'm not breaking any news there. I mean, does he even marvel at what Walter Clayton has done over this tournament run?
Yeah, he really has. And, Lee is very humble about things, but he still holds the record for most three-pointers in an NCAA tournament. And I think he also marvels at the fact that Walter can score in different ways. And certainly the 2 threes he had in the comeback late were huge, and the numbers he's putting up overall are great. But for him to be a smart enough player in that last game to where, okay, they're taking that away from me, and I'm going to start attacking the rim and getting buckets at the rim or going to the free throw line where he ended up having double-digit free throws made. I think that also impresses Lee Humphrey as far as having the IQ as a player that Walter Clayton does. I mean, look, he's putting together one of the best seasons in Gators history, and I can name you 2 handsful worth of guys that, you might raise an eyebrow to say that Walter's having a better season than they did, but the numbers bear it out. I mean, he's very close now. He's 8 points away from tying the most points ever in a single season by a Gator. And his point per game average in the tournament and what he's done during this 10-game winning streak as well, all are remarkable and worthy of the conversation of one of the greatest performances in a single season by a Gator ever.
Walter Clayton does not get to be the hero if not for Thomas Houck. You brought him up earlier. What a performance. A guy that had one SEC offer from the state of Pennsylvania. I don't know what Penn State was thinking. The guy lived like 10 minutes from that campus. What a just absolute find that was for Todd Golden.
Massive find, but it also speaks to how the whole roster has been put together. It's guys like Houck, it's guys like Condon who come from Australia and only had one other Division I offer. It's a Walter Clayton who was coming from a mid-major at best in Iona into the transfer portal and plunked out of there. It's Will Richard coming from Belmont as basically the first signee by Todd Golden. It's this collection of players that all kind of embody this spirit that the team has. Houck has 20 and 10 in that last game. He's only the 5th Gator ever to get a 20-10 game in an NCAA appearance, which is nearing 100 total games in the tournament for the Gators as a program in their history. So he's had a remarkable March. And even when he had to start the second half in the game prior when Alex Condon went down with the ankle, that's a game-and-a-half run there by Thomas Houck that is as important, as you said, as anything else as far as the Gators advancing to the Final Four.
A couple of more for Sean Kelly, the play-by-play voice of the Florida Gators. You will hear Sean on the call Saturday evening right here on 1010XL, Florida and Auburn in the Final Four in San Antonio. You look at this Gator basketball team, Sean, and I hate saying team of destiny because I think that term is overused, but there's no doubt in the last week and a half there's been some odd things. I mean, you could legit argue that UConn probably outplayed them for a majority of that game, yet when it mattered, Florida made the plays. Same thing with Texas Tech. I mean, down 9 with 2:50 to go. I think the analytics said Texas Tech had like a 95% chance of winning that game, yet Florida comes back and wins the game. I don't know if Florida's played their best, but in crunch time, in the UConn game and the Texas Tech game, man, have they come through.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, just look at Walter Clayton in clutch time during this tournament. He's 18 points and 5 for 5 from the field. It just kind of is a, point in the case that you're making with regard to the Gators getting this done. I think that they're excited that they get a couple of days practice here this week to kind of polish some things up, tune some things up before the weekend, because they've gone on this torrid pace now from the first of the month till now, and it hasn't been perfect. They've just found a way. But when you look at the level of competition they're going to see this weekend, they better get things tuned up and be back to where they were in dominating teams at the end of February and early March.
I thought it was interesting that Todd Golden earlier this week, I don't know if he was quoted directly, but the thought was that he was going to reach out to Billy Donovan. Obviously, maybe pick his brain a little bit. We talk about Lee Humphrey, a guy you're with on the radio broadcast that has a couple of national championship rings as well. Will Todd Golden look to talk to some of those former Gators staff and players from the 06-07 year to maybe get his guys ready for what they should expect in San Antonio?
I can't speak for Todd Golden, but I know him well enough that he won't let an opportunity to gain some knowledge or some edge at any turn that he can. So that wouldn't surprise me if he does do that.
All right, Florida and Auburn, it's rematch. And look, I got Auburn buddies, Sean, that are telling me, oh, it's revenge, right? It's the revenge game because Florida won in February. Here's my thought on that. It's as if the powers that be in the media when it comes to covering the SEC were not aware that Florida beat Auburn, because after that game on February 8th, Auburn did not fall below Florida in the rankings. Auburn was still ahead of Florida in the SEC power rankings. I went back and looked it up. If I'm Todd Golden and the Gators, you can talk about revenge all you want. I'm telling my guys, hey, you already beat this team once. You weren't given really any credit for that. Let's go out there and let's do it again.
Well, I think that maybe have to be the edge, because if you are looking to be an underdog in the Final Four, people will laugh at you. And I don't know if they care about people laughing at them, but as far as motivating his team or keeping this mantra that they've had this whole time about having a chip on their shoulder and maybe not being talked about in the way they should, that's an easy way to do it. And I don't think you're too far off on that. Although I do think that in a lot of ways, with regard to the resume for this team and everything else, the powers that be are the ones that matter, saw the value in that win 8 weeks ago. And it certainly did go a long way in helping the Florida Gators understand who they were and what they could do.
What are your memories from that game? I guess the things that stand out to me are they did that without Elijah Martin and without Micah Handlockton. Now, Klobuchar had a really good game. He's kind of fallen out of the rotation, so I don't know how much we can take away from game number one, but certainly it looked like the front court guys, even without Handlockton, they were frustrating the Auburn front court guys back in February.
Absolutely. And the fact that Florida fell down by double digits in that game on the road in one of the toughest places to play in college basketball, they showed their resilience. It's one of the 4 double-digit comeback wins that I referenced earlier, that being at Auburn 8 weeks ago. I do think that there is a belief that the collection of Gators bigs are the remedy for a guy like Janai Broome, and we don't know how healthy he is going in. And the Elijah Martin factor is interesting because it adds another piece that neither team had to deal with in that first meeting. A, Florida playing without him, but B, Auburn not knowing what they're getting with the Gators team with Martin now included this Saturday night.
Final moments, Sean Kelly, the radio play-by-play voice of the Florida Gators. All right. You look at this game, and Sean, they're 34-4, right? Obviously, we all want Florida to win the national championship. That goes without saying. But 34-4 at this point, what a success it has already been. I'm not going to say house money because you get this close, you want to win it all, but man alive, what a run this has been regardless of what happens this weekend.
No doubt. And I had some of those kind of feelings as the game was in doubt against Texas Tech, but I did want them to achieve, one of the hallmarks of one of the great teams in Gators history. 34 wins puts them third all-time total wins. They can match the 06-07 team with 35 if they win on Saturday, and certainly they want to be included in the club that has the 2 national championships. But they're the 6th Final Four team in the program's history, and there are a lot of metrics and numbers that would rank them higher than maybe some of the other Final Four teams. But look, they're going to look at this as job not finished unless they're there cutting down the nets on Monday, which is the way they should go about it. But if I'm going to be somewhat objective here, I'm kind of with you in that no matter what happens on Saturday, this will still be considered one of the greatest seasons in the program's history.
Sean, final question. You know Todd Golden as well as anybody in the work that you do as the play-by-play voice of the Gators. 39 years old, and he's 34-4 in 3 years on the job and has the Gators back in the Final Four. I mean, what can you say about the work he's done there in such a short amount of time?
The Gators hired the right guy, and his methods of roster building, talent evaluation, motivation, in-game adjustments. Right now, it appears to be the full package. And it's pretty cool that he's now included in this group of 4 coaches this weekend. Strangely enough, 2 of them in their 30s, 2 of them in their 60s. It's as if he and John Shire now represent kind of the new age of these coaches. And what both of those guys have done in their first 3 years with their programs is remarkable. And I'll give Todd one more flower here, as the young people say. What he inherited when he took this job was far less sufficient than what John Shire inherited at Duke. And so in that sense, I believe that Todd is maybe a cut above, even as to say what they've accomplished in their 3 years.
Sean, as far as the broadcast on Saturday, what time does it start, and what can people here in Jacksonville look forward to?
Yeah, 5:30 Eastern time, and folks are going to tune in to 1010XL because there are streaming restrictions in the tournament due to a number of different rules and policies and otherwise. So the old-fashioned way, my friend, tune into 1010 and get ready to go at 5:30, and we'll tip it off at 6:09.
Sean Kelly, the play-by-play voice of the Florida Gators. Sean, safe travels to San Antonio. Let's bring back a national championship.
All right, Ryan, thanks. Go Gators.
Jaguars, Gators, Seminoles. Jacksonville's football station is 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
The magical basketball ride continues for Gators fans this weekend, and now you can remember all 34 Gators wins with a full-size Season to Remember basketball for only $149.95, featuring scores of every game along with embossed logos, championship history, and more on panels of the ball. Order now. Get one of only 5,000 licensed balls. Call 800-345-2868, 800-345-2868, or visit nikcosports.com.
Share your voice anytime on the 1010XL text line.
Are you serious? Installed by Lifetime Flooring.
I gotta say, you're totally blowing my mind right now.
If you can't call or email, text us. 641-1010.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees, about $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 15th.
Mia here, and let me tell you about one of our area's best resorts, the Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa. The Sawgrass Marriott is not only a great destination for a vacation, but it is also a great destination for dining on the Florida's first coast. 1912 Ocean Bar and Rooftop is now open on Ponte Vedra Boulevard, featuring Ponte Vedra's only oceanfront rooftop bar and lounge. Serving finely crafted cocktails and delectable eats, it's open daily from 4 to 10 with complimentary valet parking.
At Performance Painting, we've spent decades protecting commercial properties with durable, long-lasting coatings. And we can bring the same expertise when painting the exterior of your home. With industry-leading materials and a proven process, we extend the life of your home, reducing maintenance costs and preserving its value. Now, for a limited time, save $500 when you hire us to paint your home's exterior. Just mention 1010XL. Go to performancepainting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Or, guys, want a golf course fairway quality lawn? TopDressing.com just landed in Jacksonville with the golf course secret for St. Augustine grass homeowners. a patented process that aerates and turns your turf into a fairway stunner. Serious golf course technology, but in your yard. Less water, tighter cuts, total neighborhood domination. No one else scores a perfect 10 lawn. Hit topdressing.com now. You will own the block. Top dress your yard like the pros with topdressing.com.
ET here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, visit my buddy Dr. McGowan at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. You have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits, even if you're at fault. And no matter what you hear, you have the right to choose your own doctor. So I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Their auto experts will guide you in every step of the way to ensure the care that you need. Your recovery starts with McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Florida, Auburn, Saturday night. San Antonio, the Final Four. First time for the Gators in the Final Four in over a decade. And, of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL Radio. Let's talk about this tournament run for the Florida Gators. Let's preview the big battle coming up with Auburn with Chris Lee. He's one of the hosts of the Southeastern 16 podcast. And Chris is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Chris, how we doing?
Doing well. Boy, it's a fun time of the year, and we got some great basketball ahead this weekend.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And for Florida, you want to talk about a gigantic sigh of relief. We thought the UConn game was a sigh of relief. Holy moly, being down 9 with 3 minutes to go against Texas Tech. Chris, basically everything had to go right for Florida, and almost everything had to go wrong for Texas Tech in those last 180 seconds, and that's essentially exactly what happened.
Yeah, and it's really hard to pull that off when it's a do or die for your season. And really, Florida honestly hadn't been in the spot a ton. I mean, I'm looking back at the season. The loss to Georgia away was close, but that was their last loss. That was over a month ago now. You know, the Tennessee game was a blowout in Knoxville. The loss to Missouri was at home. That was 1 point. Missouri controlled a lot of that one. And then the Kentucky loss away. Look, they only lost 4 times. And just my point is that's a team that wasn't challenged a lot. That is a hard spot to come up with what the Gators came up with, but hats off to them, and just shows you what kind of team they've got.
Well, look, that's 4 wins for Florida to get to the Final Four, and you could legit argue, Chris, that 2 of those games, they probably weren't the best team on the floor for a majority of the game. I think I would argue UConn for certainly 75, 80% of that game in round 2 was probably the better team. You could argue the same thing about Texas Tech. Yet in the end, it's all about surviving and advancing, finding a way to win. And Florida has certainly done that with those 2 games in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, and let's also look at those 2 games. UConn wasn't as good as it's been, but that's a team that with the players it's got was always capable of putting together a few good games, in which it did, and a lot of guys that will play in the NBA on that team. So, you know, it wasn't just a win. It was a win against a team that had been there and done that and hadn't been stopped in this event in a few years. And Texas Tech is a top 10 team in Ken Pom. It's coached by Grant McCaslin. It's a team that can really score from the outside. And when you face one of those teams on one of those nights, it can go poorly for you. So, yeah, was it A-plus Gator basketball? No, it wasn't. Were there some circumstances involved in that maybe made those games a real challenge? I think there absolutely were.
Chris Lee, the host of the Southeastern 16 podcast, with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Chris, Billy Donovan had this Gator team, obviously, to heights that very few programs have realized, back-to-back national titles. And when Billy left, I think most people in this part of the world thought that, all right, Gator basketball is probably going to go back to what it was. Maybe a cup of coffee here and there, but certainly nothing special. And that was the case with Mike White. He got him to one Elite Eight, and Todd Golden in first 2 years only got to one tournament game. And yet here we are in year 3 for Golden, still relatively early on the job, 34-4, a number 1 seed in the tournament, and now a Final Four for the first time in over a decade. How did Todd Golden do this so quickly?
Well, look, everything starts with money in the transfer portal, and the Walter Clayton one was a great find. He's a top 5 player in America. Elijah Martin, it was easy to see that one was going to work out based on what he did at FAU. But, some of the other ones, Will Richard played at Belmont. I saw him play in Nashville. It was a really nice player, but I don't know that he was, you didn't know he was going to be able to do it at that level. You look at what they've done with the bigs, with Tommy Howe and Condon and Yilu and Aberdeen. Well, Aberdeen's not a big, excuse me. All those guys in the front court, Tuhan Logden. I don't know, man. It just seems like a case to me because I don't know that any of these guys were household names when they came to Florida other than maybe Elijah Martin. But it feels like their player development and their cohesiveness, in other words, getting all the parts to work together and in a day and age where people just want theirs. I don't know. It feels like me like the development and the chemistry side are something Todd Golden's really aced in watching how they play.
Well, I think it's a great point. Elijah Martin made some news with a text chain he sent to his guys on the team, basically saying, remember where you came from, and it's got a picture of him in an FAU uniform, hand-locked in his Marshall uniform. You mentioned Walter Clayton at Elon. You mentioned Will Richard at Belmont. Denzel Aberdeen was the second guy on his high school team. I believe he was teammates with Riley Kugel, who was a former Gator, transferred to Mississippi State. I'd ask Gator fans, who do you rather have right now? I think Aberdeen will win that one pretty easily. So it's a lot of guys that did not have a lot of acclaim. I mean, Tommy Houck had one SEC offer, one, and it was Florida. Alex Condon, the same thing. So Golden has done well in the portal. He's done well in recruiting, and he's done well with guys that weren't exactly 5-star prospects.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm looking at this too. It's kind of been a guard's game. You don't often see as many good, really big bigs as Florida throws at you. That's number one. And then they went and got, 2 guards and kind of a glue guy and Richard in between. So there's a little bit of winning with the way everybody else is winning with the guards, but also winning with some size and depth there. And I mean, I don't know how many teams in the country have 4 guys over 6'9" that are as good as theirs are, but I think that's a pretty small number. So that's something worth a note, too.
Couple more for Chris Lee, one of the hosts of the Southeastern 16 podcast. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. All right, that brings us to Saturday night, Florida and Auburn. And the interesting thing to me, Chris, I'm curious your thoughts. Auburn's out for the revenge factor, obviously, for what Florida did in early February on the Plains. Yet Florida, even with that win, since that game, they've still heard how that game doesn't really matter and that Auburn's a better team than them. So I do think both teams are going to be highly motivated on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think so, too. I just think, and I just when I watch them, I just think Florida's a better team. Not by a lot, but they're just such a tough matchup. And I think both teams are going to be motivated. Both teams have been through it. Both teams have faced a little bit of adversity either in this tournament or at the end of the regular season. And I think ultimately, one thing that makes Auburn so tough is that paint presence and Broom and Cardwell and all those guys. They're big, they're physical, they're strong. But Florida's got a little bit of that and then some more. And just so far when I put them side by side, Auburn is an elite team, but Florida's, when I've watched them, a little bit more elite. But I think it'll be a good matchup, especially with the storyline of how Auburn's season went, how it got hot in the tournament. and how it really started playing some of its better ball again since the NCAA tournament started.
And certainly one of the big dynamics here is Bruce Pearl versus Todd Golden, the teacher versus the student. I mean, Todd Golden, 39 years of age, about a decade ago, kind of got his start, right, with Bruce Pearl, and that's where he learned the SEC ropes, and certainly that'll be a big talking point heading into this game.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, Bruce Pearl is a top 10, if not a top 5 coach in college basketball. And, that's a career that was pretty much, wrecked and left for dead after what happened at Tennessee. And not only to come back and do it the way he's done it, but to do it in a place that had never won for maybe more than a year or two at a time, and to take Auburn to a consistently good to elite level. It's been quite the story to watch.
Final moments, Chris Lee, the host of the Southeastern 16 podcast. The second game is Duke and Houston, and I guess the story, Chris, from an SEC perspective, we're expecting a great game between Florida and Auburn. My question is it going to matter? Because I think if you talk to people nationally, Duke is probably a big favorite going into this thing. Are they not?
Probably. That's what it feels like. I think the two big betting favorites are both on that side of the bracket matched up in that game. And this is what's interesting. I picked Houston to lose to Florida in the final before the tournament started. And I watched Duke the other night against Alabama. I just thought, nobody's beating those guys. And then Houston comes out the next day and just Tennessee cannot score to save its life. And I know all the Tennessee and the NCAA tournament and offensive drought jokes, got their day on social media. But this was a good offensive team in Tennessee, and Houston just said, no, you're not doing anything against us. I think that matchup is going to be fascinating because you've got a Houston program that's got a culture of winning and how they play that dates back several years under Kelvin Sampson. And as people have said, it feels like they've got 6 guys on the floor when you're defending them. Duke, for all the talent there, is a younger team and really, hasn't been pushed probably as much as Houston has been this year in the conference schedule. I'm really fascinated to see how that one plays out.
Chris, as we begin to wrap up, back to the SEC matchup with Florida and Auburn. Certainly both teams feel like they can win a national championship. Both teams are only 2 wins away from a national championship, and one of them will be 1 win away because either Florida or Auburn is obviously going to win that game on Saturday night. But for the here and now, regardless of what happens with the Gators and the Tigers, is it already an overwhelming success for both teams this year?
Oh, yeah. Look, anytime you go, 34-4 if you're Florida, and Auburn, let me just check the final record, 32-5. And in particular in Auburn's case, like you look at the teams, those guys played out of the league. They went to Houston and won, got good wins over Memphis, North Carolina, Iowa State on a neutral floor. I mean, I could go on and on. And then what Florida did when Auburn was just unquestionably the number 1 team in the league for the first 2 months, you look up at the end of the year and go, Florida's the best team in this league. And it may be close, but it was also clear. Yeah, I think no matter what happens from here on for both these programs, it has been a year that will live on as one of the best in each program's history and deservedly so.
Chris, you guys have done a great job with the Southeastern 16 podcast. We have Blake Lovell on a lot. He's one of the guys there as well. For people here, the Gator fans, and heck, we got some Auburn fans, no question about it. Talk about your coverage, talk about the podcast, and what people can expect this week.
Yeah, our mission is to cover the SEC in football, baseball, and basketball year-round, which we do that. In fact, as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to go record a baseball episode. I was not able to keep my eyes on that as much as normal this weekend because of basketball, but still keep tabs on it. That is our goal. That's our brand, is to be your one-stop shop for your news and analysis in those 3 sports in the SEC. And I think that folks that have found us have really enjoyed what we do.
And you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, you've had recaps after every single SEC tournament game. So I would imagine Saturday after Florida-Auburn, you guys will be live with a Southeastern 16 recap?
100%.
That'll be fun, especially in these parts if Florida can find a way to win. Quickly, Chris, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I think I know where you're going. But who do you have playing for the national championship on Monday night, and who do you have winning it all?
Well, I'll tell you this. I've got Florida beating Houston, but, that was before the tournament. I've gotten to see these teams play a lot more. And just truthfully, I'm undecided. I'm pretty sure I'll still take Florida to get there. The question is what happens in that other game and who wins if that meeting happens. Because, boy, these teams are all elite. And I'm going to need to give that some thought before you get a final answer.
Chris Lee is the host of the Southeastern 16 podcast. Chris, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time, buddy. We'll talk again soon.
Anytime. Thank you for having me.
And thank you to Chris Lee, one of the hosts of the Southeastern 16 podcast, for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark, as we are now well inside of 24 hours away from Florida and Auburn. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. Houston and Duke, the second national semifinal, as the 4 number 1 seeds will convene in San Antonio. And look, the bottom line is this, man. These 4 teams have been probably the best all year, certainly have been the best in the last month or so, and they have been on a collision course. Auburn, Florida, Duke, and Houston. We get them now in one city, 3 games, 2 different nights, 1 national champion. It should be a heck of a lot of fun, the Final Four coming up tomorrow. We obviously spent a majority of our time on that this evening, talked a little Jaguars and NFL as well, and what has been certainly a very busy week here on Hacker After Dark. Well, that will just about do it. Certainly want to thank everybody for joining us here on a Friday evening. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Chris Lee, host of the Southeastern 16 podcast. Thank you to Sean Kelly, the play-by-play voice of the Florida Gators on the Gator Radio Network. You will hear his call alongside color analyst Lee Humphrey. Tomorrow, 5:30 broadcast time, 6:09 tip time here on 1010XL on the Gator Radio Network. And I always thank Sean Kelly for joining us here on Hacker After Dark. Will you get? Former Gator basketball player, was part of the 2014 Final Four team. Will is still playing pro ball over in Europe. And we certainly appreciate Will for joining us this week. And Neil Blackman, SaturdayDownSouth.com. Always enjoy talking college hoops with Neil. He does a terrific job talking Gator basketball, and we thank him for taking time out for us this evening. Now, we will be back on Monday, and next week is going to be very similar to this week. I'll be in on the Frangie Show at 4 o'clock, and then we will still have Hacker After Dark with you beginning at 8 o'clock. So we do hope that you join us for both the Frangie Show and Hacker After Dark every day next week. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Friday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark, as we always tell you. And we cannot possibly tell you enough how much we absolutely appreciate it. So for all of us here on HAD, have a terrific remainder of your Friday evening and a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the Final Four, and we will get back together Monday night right here on Hacker After Dark beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
Winters are mild.
All the time?
All the time?
Summers are hot.
The beach.
And everything in between is awesome.
Amazing, isn't it?